Yeah. Y'all get up in here. Thank you for stopping by again. This is part two of Slavery is a Choice. And what you heard in part one was only maybe 20 minutes of a maybe hour 15-minute conversation that I had with Ray and Kiera. So we're going to get back into that. I know y'all want to get back to that conversation, and I'm going to allow for that. But I kind of want to bring in my next topic for Is Slavery a Choice? To be honest with y'all, this is going to have to be like maybe a 15-part series, I guess I'll call it. I'm only going to do these 2 parts for the first season, but look forward to more because there's so much information I have to share with you about Is Slavery is a Choice and see how they are finessing us as a community. This isn't to, bash anyone. I just want to give you insight. Like, I'll give you insight of what's happening right now. I'm in the summer of 2020 right now. And you have some black people celebrating the fact that statues are coming down, that Confederate monuments are coming down. They're calling this progression. They're saying that these are symbolic wins. And if it's one thing a coon love, is a symbolic win. We never, ever stand on the forefront and ask for something tangible. We always want to have the idea of something. We always want to say Oscar's so white so we can be accepted under this white standard for some reason. It really kills me. It really does. All these other groups, they come in, and when they ask for something, they get tangibles behind it. Even during COVID-19, right? You had the stimulus package that went out for years, and I mean hundreds of years. They've been telling us, no, you can't get reparations. Where's the money going to come for that? Who's going to pay for that? How is it going to be allocated? And then they fuck around and just magically make $2-3 trillion appear and give everybody stimulus check. Oh, so where was that money 50 years ago when we were asking for reparations? Where was that money 10 months ago when these Democrats were still fighting for your vote so they can become your nominee for president this presidential cycle, right? None of that stuff was on the table. They were making it seem like this was a fantasy. But you can see they can come up with the money for what they want to come up for. Case in point. Did you know that the Japanese received reparations? Yeah. Look it up. Do your research. The Japanese received reparations because they were put in internment camps during World War II. During World War II, everybody know what happens in Pearl Harbor, right? And at the time, the president did what he had a rightful order to do. He made an executive order. The president, he is the commander-in-chief of our military. And he said, hey, we just got attacked at Pearl Harbor. We don't know who our enemy is. We don't know who's infiltrating us. So let's get a hold on this. And he did an executive order, which is a legal order. Executive orders are done all the time. And even though he did a legal executive order, they still gave Japanese Americans, about 82,000 of them, at the time, $1.6 billion. In today's money, that's like $3.5 billion for 82,000 people. Do the math on that, family. Somebody do 3.4 billion divided by 82,000 and see what number you come up with. That's how much they walk away with in the bank. And they always say, oh, you can come and lift yourself up by your own bootstraps, but we're the only ones held to that standard. You have to have a better demand than tearing down the statue, than like in Mississippi, getting the flag, the Confederate flag removed from federal buildings. And all. You got to have something better than that. I can't pass that down to my son. Us driving around, passing the federal building, I can't say, you see, son, look at that. There's no Confederate flags. Don't you feel better if we're living in poverty? How would that make anybody feel better? We need to start demanding tangibles, or what I like to call heritage items. So what's a heritage item? I'll tell you. A heritage item is something that you can hand down to your descendants, and they can hand down to their descendants, so on and so forth. And this has been done. Obama has done this, and this is my problem with Obama. When he came into office, it was a bit fuss about, he can't be just the president of black people. He has to be the president of all people. He can't just do stuff just for us. How would that look? Well, let me run down a list of some of the people that he did stuff just for. And we're going to start with the legal immigrants. They have this program called DACA, and do your research. It stands for something, right? But I'm not going to get into that because then I'll have to break that down. But with DACA, it gives children that were born in the United States federal protection, meaning they can go to school here, they can get scholarships here, they can get tax returns here, even though they are not legal residents of the United States. And oh yes, I'm going to talk about the 13th and the 14th Amendment, and we're going to get into who those amendments were written for. Yeah, we're going to go there. I'm not going to go there now because, time is of the essence. So, but yeah, and let's go to another group. The LGBTQIA now have federal protection. Family. And guess what? Since they have that federal protection, they are now also recognized as a minority. Did y'all catch that? I just said the LGBTQIA are now recognized as minorities. So what does that mean to you, black folk? I'll tell you what it means to you. It means that you are now the minority of all minorities. They got you. Finessed. They finessed you. So when Biden walks around and talks about, we're going to have this minority program and this program for people of color, I'm doing my air quotes because I'm not sure what people of color mean. I know what they tell us it means, but I guess a person of color is someone who isn't white. And with these minority programs, guess who are now minorities? White men who identify as gay or Z, Zim, them, flim, flam, wallawombs. Did you see how they took away everything that you fought for? And you guys actually, you accepted it. You took it and you ran with it. I have friends that are afraid to death to say anything about sexuality. They dare not to offend. But slavery is a choice. And someone has to speak up and someone has to speak out. And we're about to break down a lot, family. We're about to break down what you should do with local politics. I mean, it's just stay tuned. Without further ado, here we go.
And so it baffles me when, just to take it back to what I was saying, it just baffles me that they say if you ever want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. We got to do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ray, I'm gonna let you hop in, but I want to comment on that putting the thing in a book because I'm one of those people that like to fight against that, and y'all allow me to retort. I'm not trying to shoot anything you're saying right now, Kiara, but that book can be a use of manipulation as well, because the information so a book, we have to look at it. That is the medium that they're using to communicate. That doesn't mean just because it's printed in black and white that it's good for you or that it has nothing but truth in it. And let's go back to the political side of it. The Alabama Constitution is the largest constitution in the United States. It has more words than any other constitution in any state. And most of those words are words to put black people in a bad position. But they put those black people in a bad position, and the black people signed off on it willingly because of the leaders that they were looking at. And a lot of folks feel that, okay, Alabama, that's a Republican state, is red. Everything is red, red, red. The metro cities are Democrat. I hate to tell people that. Like Montgomery right now has a Democrat black mayor. I know city council and all that, is nonpartisan, but those city council members are Democrat. And those city council members, I just ran a campaign. I was campaign manager for Marsha Johnson. She was going for city council in Montgomery this past cycle. And the coonery that I seen down there in Montgomery, I would literally go and knock on people's doors and say, hey, and yeah, I'm about to call you out, bro. You know Tracy Larkin, your current city councilman, you know he hasn't been in this area in the past 17 years. You know he's only been contested once in a real way since 1999, and we're sitting in the year 2000. When I lived in Montgomery, on the north side of Montgomery, District 3, it was booming growing up. I mean, we had Bargain Town. You got to be real old school to know what Bargain Town even is. But we had Bargain Town. We had Winn-Dixie. That's like our major market carrier down there in Montgomery. Grocery stores, at least 3 or 4, sometimes around the corner from one another. You go down there, there is not one suitable grocery store in District 3. If you're hungry in District 3, you have to travel to District 4 or District 2 just to get something good to eat. You have to travel all the way to District 7 just to go shopping. And this is all because of the leadership that they put in place. So Tracy Larkin, he's walking around there and he's saying, yeah, I'm for black people, and he's going to have a hot dog, cookout, come vote for me type thing. But he's also putting those policies in place in plain black and white. And the people understand, like, oh, yeah, this is going to oppress me. But they do nothing to fight against that. So, Ray, I want to ask, do you think, like us as black people, do you think we have like a groupthink mentality? Like if one person go along and say, oh yeah, we need to listen to this person, do you see any fight back in the community, or do we kind of just all float towards that?
Yeah, had you asked me, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would have said yes. Today I'm saying I am seeing a fight back. I'm starting to see sort of, first off, this little tiny civil war within our community. You have a lot of people really starting to not like what we've been led and not like our leaders. You're starting to see people clap back at Joe Biden for what he has recently said. Basically, if you vote for Trump over me, you ain't black. And he was we've started to realize that members of our community have gotten so comfortable with our complacency, so comfortable with saying okay, so comfortable with being yes people. And so I do see, though, right now, our community starting to wake up because of social media, but mostly because I feel like in Trump era and in coming out of Obama era, we're realizing there wasn't really a big shift there.
Amen.
It's like, wait a minute, we were dealing with all this in Obama era and we're dealing with all this in Trump era. Something isn't right. We did something wrong. That's exactly why Hillary didn't win.
You're saying too much truth, Ray. Too much truth.
Exactly why Hillary didn't win. So I do still think we believe in the same bases and like the same morals and values, which I feel like we just said that the complacency, like we still believe in, the system and the systematic oppressions and how we can't, rise from that. But I think they're realizing that continuously accepting the same feedback from outside of our community has been nothing but more damaging. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we will see even more of a change, and it'd be interesting to see what happens in this upcoming election with how we vote. And are we really going to see a lot of Black people move away from what we usually do, or are we going to once again forget and come together and vote, the way we always vote? So
yeah, and it's so sad, but I think we're gonna toe the line, and I'm gonna weep for that, because I already know that in elections, sadly, especially presidential elections, over 90% of Black women, they're voting Democrat, no matter who's in there. And it breaks my heart, because you guys are the one who drives the train. Like, we follow your lead. You are our political leaders. It's always been that way. Malcolm would have been Malcolm without Coretta. Godmother Betty, she's the one that gave that battery pack in Malcolm's back, so he could move away from the nation. Those conversations that they were having behind closed doors, after she knew what the Honorable Elijah was doing, she was like, Malcolm, bro, like you can't stand behind that. And it was black women that influenced those black men. So Kiara, do you think we are on like a groupthink path, or black people just thinking the same thing all the time? Like, where you falling on that?
So, this is good. I'm actually, like Ray said, had you asked me, to be honest, just a few years ago, I would have gave you a different answer. But now I feel we're starting, this is the year of redemption. This is the year of exposure. This is the year of everybody's now getting to the point where so much has happened just within this time that I really feel, George Floyd was the vessel. He was the vessel that shook up some stuff. It got to the point where we've already been angry. We've already been pissed, but we had no direction. It was kind of like, people get mad, and I hate to touch on this, but I'm going to have to. It's like a lot of people get upset because of the looting and all the things that are going on and what this younger generation is doing and how they're messing up businesses and all this type of stuff. But you got to think about it. We, as far as the ones that are being opinionated about what they're doing, you got to think a lot of the times they may not be in the position of where they've had some type of educational exposure or had a parenting in the home or had the guidance and direction to know how to respond to things that they're most angry at. Right. I always say it starts at home. So if they didn't have the connection with their parents or the interaction with their parents, some come from single parent homes like I did, some come from both parenting homes, like with two parents in the house. You just never know, but they're now responding to pain. And a lot of people struggle with channeling pain. But it's now getting to the point that we're starting to see people and things for what it really is. We're starting to expose those things. And now I feel this generation, like I would say the generation before, most of all of the civil rights movement, everything that was started was rooted from a youth involvement. Everyone was young. Rosa Parks was young. Martin Luther King was young. Malcolm X was young. Everybody was young. But like I was saying before, that there's no guidebook, there's no rule book on how to really come to some solution. We just know we're pissed. We know we want to be heard. And we were trying to come silent. We were trying to come in a way that was peaceful and trying to, do whatever it is that they wanted us to do. We wasn't getting any answers. And it got worse. And it got worse. And then we did with George Floyd. And then we did with Breonna Taylor. And then we just saw Ahmaud Arbery just running through the neighborhood and literally being preyed upon. Everybody's to the point now that we're so pissed they're not listening to how the media portrays things. And I'll give an example of that because I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. And right now I did a little research and I was looking at some of the leaders that are now coming to the front line. And I see some of them not going out there looting, but they're actually going out there to record. They're recording, they're chanting, they're coming up with these protests, these peaceful protests, with effectiveness. They're actually doing things that are making freaking sense. Like when, for example, there were a combination of, you have white allies that were out there, but you also had other white folks that just wanted to be out there just to be out there.
Fuck shit up, yeah.
And yeah, just to do it. But it got to the point where they started realizing that, okay, the black community's angry right now. The black community, they think we're monkeys already. The black community, they do this, they do that. They already had their opinions of it. So they took advantage of that. And there was one particular live video that I saw of one of the leaders of St. Louis. And they were literally out there, protesting, trying to get understanding, trying to ask questions, doing whatever it is that they needed to do to bring awareness. And then next thing you know, this white guy comes out of nowhere and starts breaking the glass windows of cars, bombing cars, and then had the audacity when the police had confronted him to blame for other black guys. He was like, oh, it was those black guys, it was that. Well, she was actually recording in the midst of everything that was going on. And immediately, once the car got broken into and the bombing and things, she said, no, that's a white guy that's doing that. That's not us. That's a white guy. So I say that to say we're now starting to expose people for who they are. And because everybody is so angry, I'm thinking right now at this point, I really don't know yet how how voting is going to take place. But the way that everybody is moving now and how much voice that we're having, so all over the world, Who's to say? But it's just getting to the point now where people tired. Not tired before like they was where they just talking and posted on social media. But now we're to the point where we're now taking action and we're seeking answers. We're seeking direction. We're educating ourselves on these things. We're not just doing stuff, which is why I don't even think this day of not purchasing stuff or whatever they want to call it. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm not gonna start with that. But
episode 1.
Yeah,
right,
but that's
24 hours of not buying something. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but go ahead. Sorry.
But Ray, like on my social media, I have like 150 people on my Facebook and a bunch of people I don't know on my Instagram. But even on those 2 platforms alone, Ray, I was seeing a lot of people like saying, "Yo, burn it up, fuck it, we're hurt, and we want to release our frustration." So. Did they really feel like that? Because this is a cycle. Because what was the last protest? Who was the last? Unfortunately, we have one every year. But even during the last one, it was all let's peace, hands up, don't shoot, and all that. Why is everybody with the smoke? It could have been Eric. No, it was. It
wasn't Eric Garner. It was someone else after Eric Garner.
Yeah, man, I can't think about his name. It was one of the buddies that it was in Louisiana, and a cop shot him while they were tussling on the ground. Man, I can't think of his name. I'll put it in the description box. Y'all correct me when y'all listen to this. But Ray, I want to ask.
Yeah.
When it comes to that group thing, is everyone on social media being fake mad right now, or are we really at that point of where enough is enough?
So, let's talk about the Black community and then outside of the Black community. Okay. Within the Black community, we're all pissed. However, I believe when it comes to the group thing, the bandwagon, the whole rioting and we're pissed or we're burning down Target. I personally don't technically like to correlate those who are doing that with protesters.
Okay.
For me, if you are really pissed at the establishment, that is who gets your wrath, is the establishment. So when I see our Black businesses having busted windows, and I'm seeing Black men with businesses, Black women with businesses in tears, Black women who are on live and cannot get food for their kids because they are in a grocery store that literally looks like a hurricane ran through it. It turns into like, y'all got to stop. Sometimes, and I do agree with Kiara's, like, a lot of us were not taught how to properly handle our emotions. I know that for a fact. I know I wasn't. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't start dating till my mid-20s, because I felt like I had some work to do, knowing how my mom was and knowing, how I was raised in that environment. But at some point we got to stop and go, hey, we're adults now and we can change. And we can also redirect our anger in more in the proper channels. So let's not bust out the windows of my community's bakery or my community's grocery store.
Right.
Go bust out their windows. Like,
why we're not at Buckhead? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Fucking up P. Diddy rental home or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Why are we not doing something like that? Why are we in our communities?
Or face the cops. Like, this is what this is about. So face the cops. Exactly. Now, outside of the Black community, because I really want to point this out, because you said it's this fake rage. Outside of the Black community, I do. And I actually was talking to this with some girlfriends. And I said, I believe a lot of non-Black members are more angry at Trump than they are angry at the death of George Floyd. Because we were getting shot for all 8 years of Obama.
All on.
But now we have the whole planet. But guess what? The whole planet also hates Trump. And I've seen it. I've seen the comments. This is what happens when you vote for Trump. This is what happens when you have Trump. No one likes Trump. Wait a minute. Why am I hearing Trump's name? A cop kneed on a man's neck for 5 minutes straight. Trump wasn't there.
Wasn't there. Didn't order
so,
it.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, in the Black community, we should be careful of how we accept our emotions and try to admit change. But be careful of those outside of our community. I do believe it is fake rage. Be very careful, because when Trump is not in office anymore. And when they finally have a white person that makes them look good again,
yeah,
it took the worst version of themselves for them to be pissed.
right.
But when they finally get somebody in office that makes them look good again, let's see if they will still care about us.
Right. Trump holds up a mirror to them, and they don't like what they saying. Yeah, Trump is y'all. This is this is nothing new for us. You know what I'm saying? We've been in Make America Great for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just experienced it for the last 3 years or whatever, but we've been in this shit. And it's not really. And this is one thing I like about Trump. I got another episode. I hope y'all come back for that one, where we just gonna lay out the whole Trump thing. But the one thing I like about Trump is he shows their arrogance. He shows their privilege. Like, yo, I want it my way, and it's gonna be this way, and that's it. And with that, it kind of, when you kind of show somebody themselves, they don't like it. Hit dogs holler. So when Trump bring up something or when he does something, I kind of appreciate it. I'm on the side of Brother Malcolm. Brother Malcolm, he gave many lectures. One of my favorites is when he talks about the fox and the wolf. Both have the same agenda. Both want to bite the fuck out of you. Both want to eat you alive. But the fox is going to do it in a cunning way. So Joe Biden's fox, Hillary Clinton fox, Trump, that's my wolf. I understand what you're trying to do to me, so I appreciate that. But at the same time, me having this military background, I was indoctrinated at a young age. So most of my way of thinking is through practical things. So when it comes to these protests and all that, and with groupthink, there's 3 phases of warfare. The most important 2 are strategic and tactical. During the strategic, that's when you set up this is how we're going to go in and this is how we're going to make things happen. The tactical is where the action take place. And I just want my people to understand the reason why they let y'all protest, because I'm going to use the word let, because if you were doing anything that affected their outcomes or what they want the outcome to be, they'll shut it down immediately. They're letting y'all go out there and do that because they understand historically, you going out and singing Kumbaya, that's not going to get nothing done for you. The ones that they shut down, let's look at history. So Marcus Garvey, when he was trying to get a ship commerce going, where people from North America, South America, when I say people, I'm talking about black folk, North America, South America, Ghana, Africa, all these people, he wanted to have a transit to where we can trade with one another. That's economic power. They shut that shit down real quick. When the Black Panthers came out and they had their breakfast program and teaching kids about their worth and starting a militia and going to the courthouses and saying, yo, we have the right to stand out here. When do you think them gun laws started? Those gun laws started when a bunch of niggas was walking around courthouses with rifles. So that's how all that went. They shut that shit down immediately. When Brother Malcolm was talking about Pan-Africanism, and we can do all this shit by ourselves. We don't need to integrate. Let's stay segregated, get our shit straight, get our ducks in a row, get our hospitals, get our schools, get our banks, everything we need to go. And then once we get good, then we can come holler at y'all so we can be on equal standing. They shut it right down. So why do they allow, for the past 70 some years, they've been allowing us to walk and protest and do it because they understand that's not going to get any real tangible actions for us. And I'm a ramble for them, but I'm sorry, you guys. I'm in my bag right now. So we're gonna go. So we're gonna go back to Let's go back to 1968 when they passed the second Civil Rights Act. That second Civil Rights Act is right after King died. King died on the 4th, I believe. By the 10th, they had that thing passed. It wasn't because they wanted to calm the nation and do all this other shit people was talking about. It's because they had agenda items inside of that Civil Rights Act. That's when the word minority and all this shit started popping up. That's when people of color didn't mean black people anymore. Now you got your Asians, now you got your Native Americans, all of a sudden they people of color. So all the shit that we're fighting for, they said, yo, this is how we're gonna, right. You wanted the whole cake? Well, we just gonna give you the icing that's on the box, but everybody else is gonna get all the big pieces of the cake. So that's why, strategically, I think we got to come together and start looking at shit like, yo, okay, what do we really want? And what do we really want to achieve here? And only from there is where we can get real action done. So, Ray, I'm going to bring it back to you. What steps should the Black Americans take to break the cycle of just being used to getting that little piece of the pie? When can we come out and say, yo, this is our fucking pie. This is not an LGBTQIA pie. This is not a feminist pie. This is a black pie. What do we have to do to start demanding things like that?
Well, we already have that mindset. I do see that when any other minority that tries to sort of impede on anything we say, we snap at them real quick. I've seen it, and unfortunately, I've seen it within our own community too, like with Breonna Taylor. We're saying, hey, Breonna Taylor too, and you got a lot of people's like, she's included. Okay, but anyway, we already see it. We already see that we can't ask for anything without everybody having to get it. Now, how do we actually leave that entire just depressing system is y'all got to segregate yourselves. And you know what? When I was much younger, I probably was just graduating high school, and I was talking to a friend of mine, who's a friend of me and my brother's back in Birmingham. He's an artist. He was mentioning this. He was mentioning the likes of Marcus Garvey, and it sounded so racist to me. And I realized that those social studies also paint for us this utopia of what was our civil rights movement.
Those books, Kiara.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say this. Some teachers are out there on the are rebels, and they'll throw in their 2 cents. I had a few of those, but in my mind, it's like, well, this is how MLK got stuff done. Well, now growing up, and I'm about to be 25 as a Black woman, I realized they don't like us. They never gave us anything. We were just the bugaboos of America, and they really needed to shut us up. So we have to someone asked this on Facebook yesterday. He said, how do you change a system? And so many people said, from within, from within. I said, you don't, you create your own.
Oh my God. Please, can you please just give that to us one more time?
Mm-hmm.
You do not change a system, you create your own. Because if you look at the definition of a system is self-sustaining. A system already works. When you look up the definition of the system is a group of things that works together. Mm-hmm. So what do you mean change it? It works. It just doesn't work for us.
Oh, shit.
Yes. Come on now.
And so that's like, well, why doesn't my, car like this type of gas? It's like, ain't nothing wrong with the gas, man.
Right. It's designed to do that.
It's made designed to do. You got diesel in your car, mad at the gas. No. This is not for you. So this system wasn't for us. Go ask the Asians, the Chinese, the Koreans. Go to LA. And I don't see anyone pissed that we have a little Italy or a little Armenia.
Facts.
Chinatowns, and
big facts.
They're literally the you see what it's called. That is where the in Koreatowns. And to be honest with you, it seems like Black people love to be smiled at in these spaces. We have none of our own spaces. We got to get away from wanting to be liked by other people.
Yes.
Lord have mercy, Kiara.
Woo, that was good. So let me kind of, I feel like I have to elaborate on what I said a little bit ago. When I made the statement about if you want to hide something from a Black person, then put it in the book. Now, there has to be, first the mindset has to be intact. Once the mindset is intact, which we've seen that is intact, we now have to understand the foundation. Yes, the foundation was not built for Black people to be successful. But I saw this recording on Facebook about white supremacy. And I say this to say, if we don't understand the foundation of how it was built in debt, not what somebody else has said, because you can tell one person a secret and 25 people down the line, it's a totally different thing.
Big fat.
When we understand the foundation, we can then implement what will then be powerful, what will be more effective for us. But if we don't understand the foundation, we can't give anything. We can't say anything. And that's why one of the things that I've come to realize is that yes, we all have a common goal that we're looking to see. It starts with respect. We as a community, we as a body should be respected. The fact that we pay our taxes, the fact that we spend our money at these places, the fact that we are, going about life the same way that another white American is. We're doing the same thing. We just have a disadvantage to it. But, I feel if we understand the foundation, that's where we can then implement things that will work in our favor. Right now, I feel the community is so just all over the place, because everybody, like, a partial of it is them going along with certain things, but a partial of others are like, I'm upset, I'm trying to figure out a solution, I'm trying to get to a solution, but we got to come together. But we got to first learn that foundation, get an understanding. That's why I said, when you read the book is not something that I'm telling you to implement what's important to us. I'm saying read it so you understand and you have the facts, so that you can then fight against what you need to fight against. You can't fight against just your feelings. You have to bring logic to the situation. Right. And I feel like right now, a lot of people are responding in emotion so much that they're missing the logic. I feel like people are responding so much based on just tired of seeing Black people die, that they're not bringing logic to the situation, which, like you said, is why they're allowing us to continue to keep protesting. Because they know, oh, this is all they know to do is protest. That's all they know to do. I feel like we need to pull back, strategically come up with a plan, understand the demands, understand what it is that we equally want, what will make us happy, and then you be tactical. But right now we can't be. And I feel like right now we're probably not going to see in our era, so to speak, or in our generation, so to speak, we may not get the answers. But just like the generation before us, they had to create the foundation for us to even build from. And so I feel like now that we're exposing some of the things that were always hidden, now that we're seeing things for what they are, I feel like this youth is innovating something so much more powerful. And we're literally building a new foundation that's going to take us in the direction, at least, of a solution and what we need to get. I don't believe we're going to see the solution in our time. I don't believe we're going to see it in our time. I feel like we're just going to strategically make the plan, get intact with the demands, and then, go from there. But right now, I just, that's just my thoughts. I feel like if we can just take a step back, because what we're doing right now, like you said, is not doing nothing. We've been doing it for years, and we still ain't got a solution yet.
Right. And isn't that something? Like, what is that, Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah,
yes,
exactly
come on, I was trying to think of that too. You're absolutely right.
The only reason why I know is because when I had to unionize my company, it was hard to get them to agree to unionize, even though with these same coworkers, we just spent 3 years getting treated like garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Kara hit it. It's like we all over the place. I don't know.
And that's, you know what? Go ahead, Kara.
I'm sorry. And that's why I feel like, I know we about to go into this part of the conversation, but that's why I don't really like, the blackout that we had on Tuesday. I'm gonna be honest, that kind of pissed me off a little bit, because even that had error in it, because it's like everybody was so quick. That's why I said I'm starting to question, even, do we understand why are we doing this? Do we really understand? Because like you said, Trump's name has been mentioned so many times because he's not responding the way that Obama responded, or he's not doing this and doing. It's like, do we really understand what it is that we're fighting for right now? Like, do we really logically understand what it is that we're fighting for? Or are we so upset that we're just going with the flow? Yeah, it's like, even with Blackout Tuesday, like, people don't even understand the algorithms of social media by itself, but they be on it all day, every day. Because people were saying, for example, if you're going to do a blackout, it should be hashtag Blackout Tuesday, hashtag Black Lives Matter. We understand that. That's why we're doing the blackout. But by you doing hashtag Black Lives Matter, you're literally polluting. Like, you're just pretty much pushing down, putting a lot of pressure on the education and the awareness that we are still needing to see, that we're needing to keep up with in the midst of the movement that we're doing. We need to make sure that what we're doing has some type of effect. But because everybody is not coming together in unity and not understanding what the heck is going on, it's like we're just doing it just to go with the flow. And I'm like, come on, I can't even tell you how many times I had to inbox somebody and say, yo, can you please repost and take out Black Lives Matter? Because right now, I was literally looking at these. I don't want to keep looking at these news sites. I was actually looking at people that are in the midst of those things, that are actually in the midst of the war right now, not dependent on Shade Room, not dependent on media takeout. I wasn't dependent on that. I'm looking for the people that are actually out in the streets and are actually out in the war, because that's where I'm getting my information from. This media puts what they want us to see. Right. And because everybody kept saying Black Lives Matter was supposed to be Blackout Tuesday, damn it, I can't even see what's going on. Like,
right. And it's crazy, as soon as, even before Trump got in office, the first thing he started doing was trashing the media.
Yeah.
And people were so quick to compare him to Hitler. And I am admitting this, and maybe Josh can say I remember that shit, but right before I was in college, right before something woke me up, and there's a whole thing that woke me up. But I was a huge Bernie supporter and all that, and we called him Hitler because he was out here trashing the media. He was like, well, Hitler also trashed the media because the media's trying to tell you what he's doing. So if he's trashing the media, then he's hiding something. But now we're all saying that the media is messed up.
Yeah, right. I just had to let you go through that, because when you're trying to pull somebody out of something, sometimes you just got to let them see it exposed itself.
Mindset.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time accepting that, and I have been learning that. So you just got to watch and breathe.
Yeah, and I just want to make 2 points. So, good point about the Hitler thing. But even if you look at that and you try to draw that comparison, the Democratic Party is really the Third Reich. That's really the Nazis if you study, what Hitler was doing. And I'll give you an example. Hitler was the type of leader that would do things to his own people and then turn around and hold his hand up and say, it wasn't me. So when Trump is trying to, you got to look at it in this way. All right, who controls the media? What message is the media giving you drip, drip, drip by day? Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, and they give you different examples. That's what the Third Reich was doing with Jewish people. This Jew is going to destroy your heritage. This Jew is going to do this. This Jew is raping our women. This Jew just killed this counselor. This Jew just burned this building down. Even though Hitler was doing it himself, he was blaming it on that race. So when it came to the point of time of extermination, the citizenry was like, okay, yeah, go do it, because they did this to us. They did that to us. And that's the same thing they did with Trump. They pump our head up so much with Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. While they're doing their shit behind the scenes, they can just put Trump out there to be the fall guy. And that's, yeah. And when it comes to these protests, though, like, I got to take it back to, strategic and tactical. And in episode 1, we talk about, like, the Blackout 2020 and why that doesn't make sense. Let me share to the audience right now why you're looting and protesting is not making any sense. And I understand some of y'all looting because y'all hurting right now. Shit, you just want some clothes or something to make you feel, you want something new because you've been out of work for 4 months. You just want to feel that, pop and tag feeling again. But let me explain to you what's going on. Target, that shit that you blowing up, Target gonna be all right. You know what the politicians in that city, what they're gonna do, they're gonna offer Target a tax break. And that tax break is going to be so big that Target's going to be like, oh, yeah, I got to pay, 0% payroll tax for the next 3 years? That's going to save me $12 million? Yeah, I stay in your city. Guess what those insurance claims going to say? Approve, because it's all over the news that y'all niggas went over there and tore they shit up. So not only is the insurance going to cover everything, not only is the city going to say, oh, you ain't got to worry about paying payroll tax no more, but guess who's going to have to cover those costs, people? Guess whose property tax is about to get raised? Guess whose state income tax about to get raised? Small businesses, your excise taxes are about to go through the fucking roof. Because one thing the government is never going to do, and that's take a loss. So they're going to make the people of, what they in, Minnesota? Yeah, y'all shit's going to go up exponentially. And it ain't going to be a 1 year, 2 year thing. They're going to bleed y'all ass dry for probably the next 10 years. And that's why they let y'all protest. And we just being intellectually honest about the whole thing. Y'all like how I did that, right? Put the podcast inside the yeah. But we've been on this thing for over an hour. Don't even feel like it. But Ray, you open it up. So Kiara, I'm just gonna let you in with any final thoughts. Anything you want to share?
Yeah. So there was a just a controversial conversation that I was having with my circle, and one of the things that was shined on was, should we go back to segregation as a body, or should we go through segregation by profit? And like you said, we loot these corporations, we do all these things, not realizing that these corporations aren't large corporations. They weren't overnight corporations. They planned for times like this. They have safety nets for droughts like this. They have strategic ways of going about rebuilding that we don't even know about. So I say this to say, when it comes to this upcoming, the not spending your money for a day, just really program what you think that day will do. Really think about that. These corporations run in quarters. They're quarters that are prepared for years, like for a few years to come, if that. So just be mindful with how we're strategically trying to send our message and get our message out. Just think about that, because they're not hurting for a day. They're not hurting for a week or a month. So when you decide to loot, when you decide to, ride the bandwagon with a lot of these things that are going on right now, just really think about it outside of what you're known. Think about if you were running a large corporation and what it would take to maintain it and be global as a large corporation. So that's all I say.
Amen. Ray, what you got? Final thoughts?
We as a community have to become comfortable with losing. And what I mean by losing is we've put so much effort and energy into wanting to become a part of this society. I think that's why maybe we are afraid of falling back. When you put, like people say, oh, I've been with this person for 5 years. We just going to work this out. We're going to, that struggle of, well, we need to stop the struggle of with America and bring it back. I've learned to like the idea of just like taking the L, because you always learn and you always come back stronger. Every time you break a branch, it grows back stronger. Sometimes it grows two.
Amen. Amen. You know what, ladies, this has been great. Please, I invite y'all to come back anytime to talk about whatever. I'm going to be putting this out at least once episode a week, until the election period. Then I may do more. But yeah, this has been a great conversation. Soul food people out there.
This was great.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you for inviting us. This is something that needs to be said, something that needs to be heard. And we have to put fear aside, overcome fear, and start speaking out on it, even if it's nasty and ugly.
Mm-hmm. And this is the platform where, you out there as an audience, if you want to hop on here, email us. It's in the description box. You can come on here and we can talk about it. This is a no judgment zone. We all don't agree on all the same things, but we are mature enough and we are honest with our opinion enough to go through the conversation without all that rah-rah. You can have an open conversation with people who don't share the same views and learn something from it. Let this be a lesson towards that. Absolutely. Ladies, I thank y'all again. People out there, y'all tune in next week. Intellectually honest. Yeah.